Welcome, all of you, to the Tejas Storytelling Association convention. We want to thank our sponsors, National Endowments for the Arts, Texas Commission on the Arts, City of Denton, and Mid-American Art Alliance. And we also want to thank all our technical people for today. We have Brooks Myers is our host today, and we also have David Brock. David Brock is also one of our youth tellers, and he told this afternoon, but he's also part of our technical team today. This is Kim Lehman. I'll be your moderator for today. So please welcome to the workshop, Storytelling in Dual Language, and we're so happy that you're here to join us today. So, Sandra comes from Chicago to El Paso to your own private living room this afternoon. With Sid Lieberman as a mentor and Sandra's grandmothers as inspiration, Sandra has blossomed into an engaging and an effective storyteller for students and for audiences of various size and ages. Her heart speaks in Spanish, but her mind functions in English. So today, let's learn ways to integrate storytelling into dual language classrooms. So we have a chat section. I forgot to mention, you're welcome to chat in your questions. We'll probably get to them at the end, but I'll be monitoring that during our time together. You can use speaker view or gallery view up at the on your screen. You're probably really good at this by now because you've been doing it all weekend. So that being said, let's please welcome, and please excuse my tongue doesn't do the tongue roll very well. So please welcome Sandra Aguirre-Magana.
Thank you. That was actually very good, Kim. Everyone has trouble with that name, even my students. But thank you for such a nice introduction. And yes, I am a teacher. I've been a bilingual teacher and a dual language teacher. And when I first saw Sid Lieberman perform, well, the late Sid Lieberman perform, and when I went to one of his storytelling workshops in Chicago as a teacher, I got hooked. And I just knew that this was a way to teach my students, and I've been using it ever since. So then I moved into a dual language classroom where the objective switched. It switched from transitioning kids into English to maintaining the language, and also teaching non-Spanish speakers Spanish. So storytelling was like even more important when that transition came about, to from transitioning to maintaining a language and having other kids learn it. So I'm sharing the strategies that worked very well in my classroom, and we're going to get started. So if you have any questions, like Kim said, she'll be moderating, they'll be in there, but I'll try to answer them at the end. So with that said, let's just get started. So I'm going to share my PowerPoint with you, and we'll get started. So storytelling in the dual language classroom. And again, these strategies aren't just for the dual language classroom. I've learned these strategies from many presenters and many districts, and I just put them together, and they wound up helping with storytelling. They wound up being storytelling strategies, for me at least. So etiquette again, but please mute yourselves. And if you need to leave or step away, please turn off your camera, ask questions in the chat, and please type your email addresses in the chat, especially if you want to get more resources that I do have available. So thank you, I appreciate that. So the objective again for this workshop is to integrate the performance art of storytelling into your language arts curriculum to motivate your dual language students to communicate in their second target language. So it's not, if your dominant language is English, your second target language might be Spanish, Chinese, German, French. That's the idea. So we want to get kids speaking, because that is the hardest part about learning a language. The reading and the writing tends to come a little easier sometimes, but the actual speaking, that's where we struggle when we're trying to teach another language. So the National Storytelling Network and its special interest groups have established that this is a research-based instructional strategy. And when administrators, that's always been my issue, when I wanted to use storytelling, especially as our TI in the classroom, they'd be like, no, stick to the Pearson practice test book. I'd be like, no, this works. And boy, have I been happy, because my struggling readers, when I did storytelling as RTI, as a reading intervention, 100% of my students would pass their state exams, and not just pass them. They got exemplary, which in Texas is like the best. That means you only got 3 or 4 questions wrong on your exams. And a lot of my students, they were struggling readers. So I know these work, and you don't have to test kids to death, which is what a lot of teachers do. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And this is interactive, and they remember it. So it's an oral tradition that helps develop these literary skills needed to transfer into reading comprehension and writing. In addition, other studies have proven that to facilitate this transition for ELLs into the English-speaking classrooms, they need explicit research-based instructional strategies for the oral practice necessary to thrive. So, and the other thing about storytelling is that it benefits all learners. You have your visual, your auditory, kinesthetic, and those logical thinkers, those nerds, they still enjoy and learn from storytelling. So, benefits of storytelling in the classroom, the information is remembered better. I presented a story. It was more like a fringe. It was a half-hour story in the library, and I presented it to a group of different. It was like one of our reading nightly family literacy nights. And this kindergartner, she sat down and listened to the story. And the mother, a few weeks later, mom approached me. She says, hey, you were there for storytelling, and my daughter cannot stop telling your story over and over to everyone she meets. Well, I went back 2 years later, and that kindergartner was now in 2nd grade, and she saw me, and she gave me this simple summary of that story. She saw me, and she's like, I remember when you came and you did this and you told the story, and she just boom, 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 went right through the story. So we know that information is remembered better through storytelling. So, and it also serves as a powerful cross-cultural teaching tool. And it motivates students to learn. It really does. It builds students' self-confidence, because they develop these public speaking skills when they're storytelling. And it creates empathy when they tell their stories and they share stories with one another. And it improves problem solving and analytical skills. And again, the links to community and heritage are strong. And then especially if you're learning a language, a second target language, and you get to learn through storytelling, through those stories, the culture that you're trying to develop a language in. Those links are important, and you do learn them. And storytelling covers the language arts standards for speaking and listening. So I do have a list of the Common Core listening and speaking skills. So when you go to those teachers, to your administrator, and say, I want to use this as RTI, it's in the Common Core, and it's in our TEKS in Texas. So I have those available as a resource for you as well. So in this workshop, the instructional strategies that will be presented are a graphic organizer, kinesthetic, ownership of the kinesthetic, visuals, focusing, and of course, you have to use Kagan structures in any classroom and storytelling games. So we'll get started. Okay, so here is the graphic organizer. So I'm going to shrink this. So I call it the simple storytelling summary. It's not mine. We've seen this as a teacher. You see it all the time. And in this case, the graphic organizer is split into the 3 areas: beginning, middle, and end. And the beginning has your 4 basic questions, and the middle has 2 questions, and the end has 1, which is just basically the conclusion. So on the side over here, we have where the kids can actually do a little diagram. They can draw pictures. So to move on with this, I see. Here it is again. So I just want to explain a few things about this simple storytelling summary. I also have it available in Spanish, but it's very simple. If you look at B, I have B for beginning in this part. Questions 3 and 4 are actually the main idea to a story, to a sentence, and or a paragraph. So sometimes the way, depending on what I needed to do, I would also switch the beginning around and move questions 3 and 4 to 1 and 2. Okay, but because we're focusing on developing oral language proficiency, when you start a story, it's a long, long time ago in a land far away. So when and where are the first 2. And then who or what is the story about, and so on. But it's important, I wanted for you to know that questions 3 and 4, again, are the main idea to any story, sentence, and or paragraph. So very, very simplified. Oops. And then questions 5 and 6 make up the middle of the story and are also known as the plot. So it's problem and solution right there. And then we have the conclusion. The reason I have that separate, a lot of people think that the solution is the end of the story, and it's not. The end of a story is usually the author's message for that story. Okay, so it's important to distinguish that for students. But this is a short, simple way to summarize a story. And so it's important. Again, I have this available, so you will be getting it in English and Spanish. I have it available, and then you guys can translate it on your own if there's another language. But the concept is simple, and it's the same thing. So and here it is in Spanish. So it's the same document. I have it in Spanish, and it will be available to you. And then here's the kinesthetic for this. Okay. So when I teach the students this summary, this simple summary, they have to get it up here. They do have to memorize it. But the way to memorize it, again, is through this kinesthetic. So when? So we point to the wrist. Number 1, when, right there. So that's the kinesthetic. You're going to say when, right there. And that helps them remember the order, the sequence of this simple summary. So you point to the wrist, when. And then where? Well, it's exaggerated, where. So this is where, I mean, in American Sign Language, where, but we're going to exaggerate it with the kids so that they can, get that total physical response going. So where. And then who or what is the story about is a little bit more difficult, but not that much. I use this as who, and then what. So who or what is the story about? And those are the signs for it. And normally, I mean, you can go to, I do have a website for American Sign Language if you want to get the exact signs for this, but you really don't have to use American Sign Language. You can use whatever works with your kids. You have to use with the things that facilitate memorizing this for them. And then the fourth question is just a reverse pretty much of the first one, which is what about the who or what. And again, I keep these kinesthetics there. You'll get this if you want to use them. And then the next one is you make the Y symbol with why. So why, or they can also be a baby and say, why, cry. And how is like, well, how? And you just move down, how. So kind of you start at your belly, at the top of your belly and go, how. And conclusion. So the sign for finished in sign language is this, and I like it. I just shake 3 times, conclusion, and just move down, conclusion or conclusion. And that's how it works. So how this works in the classroom is that you make groups of 7, okay? And each student is assigned, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So each question gets assigned to each student. And so they just say it. So student number 1 is going to say when, student 2, where, and then student 3, who or what is the story about? And then student 4, what about the who or what? Why or why? And how? And conclusion. And you have them do this every morning. And it doesn't take more than 1 minute to do this. If you just count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because they memorize it and it just becomes second nature to them. And it really, really does help them. Up here, once they've got it and somebody asks them a question like, hey, how was your summer? Oh, when? Well, summer. And it just becomes ingrained, and they can just have such a nice conversation, and they use this to speak, and it gets memorized. So anytime somebody wants to start up a conversation with them, they've got this. But you do have to implement it. And 1 minute, really, it's just 1 minute a day. Get this done, and it happens. And also give them the graphic organizer so they have it available to them. So the next part of helping kids develop these oral language proficiency skills is visuals. I love using visuals, and the kids love them as well. So one of the things I suggest is research websites for pictures, go through old magazines, especially National Geographic. There's a website too for National Geographic, but they have the most amazing pictures, and the kids love it. Check with your school librarians and local public librarians, because they recycle, they toss a lot of things, and you can actually recycle them, and you can cut them out and use them. There are also old calendars, so you can recycle old calendars. And a lot of the things, what I've wound up is some kids, the pictures that kids love, I laminate them and I use them throughout the year. So we help our planet a little bit. But I do have a document, the resource of, it's got like 100 crazy pictures like the ones you see here. So that also is a resource that we'll be giving to you. So the next strategy that we do is a focus strategy, okay? And what happens with these pictures, so this is where we actually start working with the students, and when we're speaking and using that simple storytelling summary, each student gets a picture and they study that picture. So let's use this picture here as an example. This is one of the pictures that the student might get, okay? And so the simple storytelling summary questions are answered with as few words as possible, okay? 2 words maximum. And some storytellers have suggested that, you can tell a story with just 1 word. So I'm giving the kids a break with 2 words. And some people might find this difficult, but it's actually really good for all leveled speakers. They can all participate, because if you're a beginner and you only have to use 1 or 2 words, it doesn't seem overwhelming when you're learning a new language. But for those kids who are advanced or advanced high speakers, it's hard to try to focus down and just use 1 or 2 words. So this is why if you focus it to 2 words, no more than 2 words, it really does help. It really does help, and it makes it easier for the beginners and hard for the advanced speakers. And all levels can participate, and we're always looking for differentiation in the classroom. So here it is, plain and simple. And students can write down the answers. I tend to have, I always use my recycled paper, and I will print on the back the simple storytelling graphic, and it's much smaller. And throughout the year, the kids really rely on this graphic organizer, and they find it helps them a lot. But again, it's consistency. Use it, teach them to use it, and they will not be bothering you. You'll see, because they become very independent. So I'm sorry, let me go back. I think I went too far ahead. So with this one, if you look at the simple storytelling summary, I would ask myself, when does this story take place? I can say this morning. Where does it take place? Baby's bedroom. Who or what? So who or what is this picture about? Baby. What about? The who or what? Lifting weights. You can say, why? Wants to get stronger. Okay. How? Lifts weights. Conclusion, develops muscles. So if you ask yourself, does it make sense? Does the picture, do the answers support the picture? And that's what you ask the students. Do your answers, do your partner's answers support these questions? Does it make sense? And don't complicate it. It's 2 words, and the kids get it. They might struggle with it at the beginning, but the way this works is they use it in the Kagan structure with pair share. If you're a teacher, I'm certain you've heard of this and you've used it in the classroom many times. And if you haven't, please do, because this really, really works with developing those oral language skills that second language learners need. The pair share. So what happens is each student gets a picture, they look at it, and to themselves, they answer the simple summary questions. When, where, who or what, the 7 questions. They can write it down too, but again, we want them to develop those oral language proficiency skills. So at the beginning, it's fine. Have them answer it on a piece of paper if that helps, and it works. And they can keep it with them, and then they can show the picture. So the way it works is the person showing the picture answers the 7 questions. Sorry. And the partner asks the person, the student holding the picture, the 7 questions. And then they share, they turn it around. So then the other person shows the picture and answers the 7 questions. And then you have them go around. They keep that picture and they go to another group. So they're switching, going around and using that same picture, because the more they use it, the better they become at answering the questions and developing that confidence. So the next time, you mix the pictures up. As the kids get advanced, or even your adults, as adults or your students get better at using pair share, then we do an alternative pair share, which means, you now switch out the pictures. So every time you get a new partner, you switch the pictures. You can't keep them anymore. And again, this happens as their skills progress and get better. So there's always you're always adding to it. So at the beginning of the year, that first quarter, you're not going to be switching the picture out as much, because you want them developing that confidence. Okay, so hopefully I kind of explained what you're going to do. And we're going to do a breakout room where you're going to do a pair share. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, I couldn't give you like the individual pictures, but if you can use your cell phone and you can take 2 minutes and take a picture of anything or anyone around your house, and that's going to be your visual for a pair share. Okay, so in the breakout room, you're going to take the first 2 minutes, go take a picture, and then you're going to pair share, and you're going to use the simple summary graphic organizer. So we're going to send that breakout room task 1 sheet to you in the chat. So hopefully, let me see. Let's see if I can do that, or if you can get the breakout task 1.
Sandra, it's in the chat so people can download it now.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so because sometimes what happens is you don't know exactly what you're supposed to do. So please download this. The instructions are there, and it actually has the simple summary organizer on it. So take the 2 minutes, go take a snapshot, use your cell phone, take a snapshot of something, or if you already have a picture somewhere lying around or a visual, use that, and you're going to do a pair share. Answer the questions on that simple summary graphic organizer, and pair share with your peers in the breakout room. Okay, so the instruction sheet for breakout room task 1 is in the chat, and hopefully the breakout rooms we can break out right now. You'll have 8 minutes with a 1-minute warning, and I hope that's enough time to do pair share with the people in your group. I hope you guys were able to get the gist of that. And again, I'll make my email available to you guys. So if you have any questions, or you need a little more, maybe you need to see it more, I can help later on. Okay, so I'll make my email available to you. So I hope you liked the activity, and we're going to move on. So we are going to do another. Now we're going into the storytelling games. So we're going to do another breakout room for storytelling games. Okay. Now, this is something that my students love. They love the storytelling games. This is my Bible. I would keep on my shelf. I don't know if it's still in print, but it has so many activities to do with students, especially to get them speaking. And I recommend it because it even has like an objective. So if you're trying to develop the oral language proficiency, it tells you this activity will do that. If you're trying to develop even like synonyms or descriptive language, it has that objective on it. So this is the #1 book. I recommend it to anyone. And we're going to do one of the activities that's in this book. And again,
Sandra,
so yes.
Could you please read us what it says? It's too small. I can't read what it says on the cover, and who's it by.
Oh, okay. So this is 101 games that teach storytelling skills. and it's by Anthony Bircher and Mike Bircher. So it's available through, it's called Healthy Learning. That's who published this book, Healthy Learning. But where I bought this one was from Parkhurst Brothers Publishing. Every time I go to one of the storytelling festivals, they have it, but I don't know. I haven't seen this one lately, but they do carry it as well. But that is one of the best books to use in the classroom with students. I absolutely love it. And we are going to break out into another room to do this. So here it is. We're going to do the most interesting place these shoes have been. So this is the Breakout Task 2. So what it says is to learn about other people in a group and to improve the skill of discovering your own stories. So that's the storytelling objective here. So it says to lean back in your chairs, stick your feet out and stare at your shoes. Think about the most interesting place those shoes have been. And remember the simple storytelling summary frame structure. Use it to tell about the most interesting place those shoes have been. Okay. So again, we're going to do another breakout room. And
Sandra, I have a quick question.
Yes.
We don't break into even numbers. So
Okay.
do you want 5 or 3 in a group? If we have 3 groups of 4 and 2 groups of 5, is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. So are we ready to start now?
I hope. Do they have the?
I have a question too.
Yes.
Can we put up that first about the 7 different things so we can see it up here?
Okay, it's do you still have the previous?
I'm on my phone, so I don't get it.
Oh, okay. So let me get them then. I can go back. But when you go into the room, you won't be able to see it. So
Oh, that's right. Never mind.
Okay.
It is. Just give me a minute. Let me do the. Well, maybe you can write it down, Jay.
Okay.
And for those of you that you can also click on the chat and you can download it. Let me do the task one again, just in case you missed it. So let's see here. Let me pull it up quick for y'all. So if you want to write this down, it's just when, where, who, what, why, how, and conclusion and lesson learned. I think we're ready.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you.
Back. So everyone should be back, I hope.
Yes. Kim, could you repost the 2 breakout tasks? Some of our folks got disconnected, and so if you could repost them, they'll be able to download them. Kim, are you back?
Yes, I am, and
Okay.
they are there in the chat room. Let me know if they're not there. You could put your email. I can email them directly to you if you have a problem downloading those.
Okay, Kim, I was one of the ones that got kicked out, and so it erased the entire chat window. So I'll just send my email address.
And Sandra, I was going to say, I bet Ted Parkhurst is going to get a lot of calls about 101 games that teach storytelling skills.
Well, I hope so.
Because I haven't seen, he hasn't brought it to the festival in several years. And so I need to say, is it time to reprint it or something?
I don't know. I'm just happy that I got it, and I'm not getting rid of it. It's mine. It's my Bible. It's my Bible in my classroom. I had it all the time. So hopefully, he'll get it again if we let him know.
Right.
I think we have time for another activity before we answer questions. But let me see. Okay, so we also, when you're teaching another language, you have, one of the things is when you develop their oral language proficiency skills, we know that how they speak is really how they read and write. So you can also use this summary, the simple summary, storytelling summary, to write. So this one's in Spanish, and basically we had a student do Arachne the Weaver. Arachne the Weaver, and if you're familiar, it's a myth story, the creation of the very first spider. So very simple. This one in Spanish, I'll just translate. Cuando el pasado means past, where in ancient Greece, and who or what is the story about? Arachne. And what about Arachne? She oh God, presumes. In Spanish, presume is she boasts that she is the best weaver. And then this question, number 5, always goes back to number 4 over here. So if the kids don't know how to answer why, what is the problem, you go back over here. So why is she boasting to be the best weaver? And it's because she's conceited, right? And then how, or what is the solution? So here it's the Athena, the goddess, asks her to compete with her to see who's the best weaver. And conclusion, Arachne wins the contest, but she's turned into the very first spider because she's so disrespectful. And the moral of the story is too much pride can hurt you. So very simple, very simple. And then they go back and they write it. But now they just go back and convert it into a sentence using those questions. So, and here it is in Spanish, the Arachne, the weaver, in one paragraph. So very, very simple summary for writing as well. So this is not only an oral proficiency graphic organizer, it's also a writing organizer. So you can use it that way as well. And again, just keeping it simple, which when a student is taking, especially our elementary students, when they're taking a reading test, this is one of the types of questions that on a test, this is the one that kids get wrong the most. What's the best summary of the story? And so they need to know what a brief summary is. And this simple storytelling graphic organizer really helps with that. So we're going to do a whole group storytelling game. Okay. So, but don't get, I adapted it for this one. Usually I have a roll of toilet paper, but you guys need to take a minute or two. And as the title of the story of this game says, take only what you need. So go to your bathroom, get some toilet paper, but only take what you need and come back. So go back, take what you need from the toilet paper. That's it. You can shut the camera off and go do that. We'll give 2 minutes. So it looks like almost everyone's back, I hope.
Sandra, I just found the 101 Games That Teach on Amazon, a Kindle edition for $9.99.
Ah, there you go. There you go. And you can have it on the laptop all the time.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. And you know what? When you don't know what to do, or, sometimes you have extra, rarely, but you'll see that the kids ask you for these activities. They really do like them. They really do. And so I'm hoping everyone's back, right? So then what happens next is count how many squares you have on that toilet paper. So count how many squares you have. So if you've counted how many squares you have from that piece of toilet paper that you got, the next step is for each square, think of a time you got in trouble. For each square, think of a time you got in trouble. So now look how many stories these kids or students or you have now. If you, for each square, think of a time you got in trouble. And you pick one story, fill out the simple storytelling summary graphic organizer. And again, you can turn the questions and answers into complete sentences to create a short paragraph. But these are short writing activities, but anytime you need a story, there you go. And that's what I said. This book has so many activities that it's just a wonderful resource if you're teaching in the classroom and you're teaching another language. So I hope you enjoyed that activity. I really do enjoy doing it in the classroom with the kids. And some additional activities or ideas to get kids talking. And it's still, I still consider it storytelling. There's really good stuff is a teaching store, and they have these sequencing cards. And to get the kids talking, you know, so the kids put the sequencing cards together and they're just images, and having the kids talk. So they have to say like the order of things, like first your hands are dirty, so first you have to put some soap on it, you know, just especially right now during COVID. But the process, this is another thing for people who are learning a second language, ordinal, or the order of things, the ordinal language, using it to say something, the order of things. Now, the other thing that kids really enjoy doing with this is creating their own sequence cards. So you can buy, you know, these sequence cards, but it's more fun to have students create them. And again, this is differentiated instruction, because you can have, if you have those high advanced or your GT kids, and they love creating these sequence cards. So you can get a whole bunch of these created by all the kids, and then you have a nice set to use in your classroom all the time. And the kids really do help one another. When you can do another pair share, where the kids have the sequencing cards. They help figure out the order of the sequence cards, and then they help each other say it. Real simple. So again, and this website is really good stuff. And if you're a teacher, you most likely familiar with this teaching store. But again, they're called really good sequencing cards, and these really help develop that oral language skills for kids learning a second language. And you can also have students, of course, sing songs. You can have them recite poems. In Mexico, and I think in most Latin America, we have this declamadores, where they're orators, where they tell stories, they tell poems. Also tongue twisters. The kids love tongue twisters. And also, if you're teaching kids to storytell, you have to have a school storytelling festival. The parents, when parents see their kids perform a story, you know, the parents start supporting you even more, because they see their child telling a story in a language that is not their target language, that is not their dominant language, and just seeing them perform, parents love it. But just the confidence to to get up in public and say a story. So again, these are other ways to get students to use storytelling to develop these oral language proficiency skills. I can't say it enough. Now, if you noticed, I don't know, but I watched America's Got Talent, and this year's winner was a spoken word participant, and he took the whole contest, spoken word, and that's storytelling. And just imagine, on the worldwide stage, we had a storyteller win. And just the power of storytelling, and just to bring it into the classroom and teach through it is very, very empowering for students and adults, all learners. Again, storytelling, I love the National Storytelling Network and Tejas Storytelling Association. I can't say enough for Tejas Storytelling Association. I was invited by Lauren Mimi to storytell on statewide level, and opened up a lot of opportunities for me. I wound up going to Cuba to storytell. Once I said, hey, I performed at Tejas Storytelling Festival, Chicago, and the National Storytelling Network. So I am so thankful for the opportunity to present here at the Tejas Storytelling Festival, and I'll do it anytime I can. And the National Storytelling Network. They are great resources for storytelling. So, and please support these organizations. We need the support. And again, these were the books that I used for this workshop. Again, 101 Games That Teach Storytelling Skills, A Super Simple Storytelling by Kendall Haven, and Story by Story by Karen Chase. And Karen Chase has this awesome website. I mean, she has this amazing website of so many stories. I mean, it's an amazing website just all on its own. So she is a wonderful resource, and she is very active. She's on Facebook, and anything that's storytelling, she's probably connected to it. But again, these were the resources that I used for this workshop, and I use in my classroom. And story starters. So if you need story starters, this was the website that I used, favorify.com. I don't know if it's still out there. I forgot to check that one. But story starters on Pinterest. If you go to Pinterest and just type in story starters, there are so many pictures, just so many pictures that you can use to use as visuals to start the kids talking. Also, there's Journal Buddies, this website right here as well. And then I also always put the American Sign Language website, because sometimes kids don't know what to do with their hands when they're storytelling. And sometimes learning some sign language is very helpful for them. And it helps them use their hands so they're just not stuck to their sides during storytelling. So I always say, go to the American Sign Language website. And if there's like one word that you really want to express in the story, hey, it's there. And this is my website, Yo Cuento Cuentos, and I have a blog too. I haven't been very active lately because I've been very busy, but I do have my own website, and if you want more information about me, there it is. I did do a survey, and hopefully, I'll probably put it into the chat. I don't know if I can cover. No, I shouldn't have done that. It does work. But there it is. So it's working. But let me go back to, okay, so there I am. But so if you can, I'll put that into the chat. And it's a survey to help me improve the workshop. But we're done. So I hope there's still some time for if you have questions.
Sandra, thank you so much, Sandra. I just have a quick announcement here. I went ahead and uploaded all the handouts for today, so you can download those. If for some reason you're having problems with that If you could type your email in the chat, I'll be happy to email those to you. And if anybody has a question, you can either raise your hand, unmute yourself, or type your question in the chat. You can also unmute yourself like a walkie-talkie by just pushing down on the space bar. That's kind of like a walkie-talkie. So you push it down, talk, and then when you let it go, you're muted again. So questions, anyone? Walter? Can you unmute yourself, Walter? We can't hear you. Is there a way for you to unmute? There you go.
Right. I'd like to ask you about tongue twisters. What do you mean by that, and what are good tongue twisters for the kids you're talking about?
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would chuck wood?
Oh, those.
Yeah, those tongue twisters.
Foreign language, huh?
Yes. Oh, so there's some in Spanish. And yeah, I have a list of those. If you need a Spanish list, I have a list in Spanish that I would use. And then with technology, when I did the tongue twisters, I would have the kids record themselves on because they have iPads. We have iPads in the classroom. And so I would have the kids record themselves sing a tongue twister, and then we would just send that to the parents, and the parents loved it. They would they get this is what your kid's doing in the classroom. So the tongue twisters are awesome, and some kids they love doing it because it's just fun, because you get to hear them and they enjoy when they mess up or they say it wrong, and then they'll even go and get into competition with each other where, I said this tongue twister better than you, and it becomes like a competitive sport in the classroom. It's fun. Do tongue twisters, please.
Well, can you give me one more tongue twister, and how kids would do double tongue twisters and compete with each other over twisters? Could you do that? I know it may be an unfair question, but could you do that just for poor old me?
Well, I mean, I can't think of one right now, just other than that. Well, wait, Peter Piper picked a peck of. Okay, somebody do it with me. Okay, I'm going to do Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, how many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? So who can say it better than me? Come on, somebody.
Peter Piper. And they
kids will pop up. Honestly, the kids pop up and say, I can do it better. Because I ask them, when I do tongue twisters with them, I would tell them, this is a list of tongue twisters, and then I have it there. And then we'll say, okay, so Monday, this is the list of tongue twisters. By Friday, memorize one. And then the kids don't tell each other which one they memorize. They memorize one, and then they'll go, wait a minute, I memorized that one. And then it's like, okay, well, let's see who says it better. And that's how it happens. And the kids love it. Really, they do. It's so much fun.
Well, I've also taught in schools, all ages, and substitute teaching, done programs, but I really haven't done those tongue twisters. But maybe I should start with one. Could give me a real simple one that I can.
No, but the woodchuck. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck? But I'll send you that document. I'll send you the document. I'll get the emails and I'll send that out. Don't worry, I've got them, but you'll get them.
I know you do. You're great. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question for Sandra? Anybody else? Viveka?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, you can't hear me.
Yes.
Yes. I think this is what's messing me up. Okay. I forgot I still have my earbuds plugged in. So as I understand it, are you just going to automatically send are you sending a presentation, or are you sending a list of resources, or what should we expect to get?
I think the resources that are in here, because basically my presentation is the resources, because it's there. The resources have all that information. I just kind of like made it, condensed it, but the resources actually have more.
So what happened to me is I got kicked out of the session, and it cleared out the entire chat window. So I don't have anything except what you've talked about probably in the last 15 minutes.
I'm sorry. No, but as long as I get your email,
It's in the chat.
I will send everything. And actually the resources, like I said, the resources that I have much more information. My PowerPoint is very condensed. So they have explanations, my resources have explanations on them, and then stuff. So what we teachers just called stuff.
Right.
But it's there.
Right. I have a garage full of that. Yeah.
All right. Shanti, you had a question.
I wondered if you do in-services or online classes for teachers to spread this wonderful resource. Oh my gosh.
Well, I've started doing this. I took 2 years off for health reasons. And when I did take those 2 years off, I did go to NAVE, which is like the National Association of Bilingual Educators. So during the summer, I do work as a reading specialist. I work with dyslexic students in my school district, El Paso Independent School District right now. So anytime I'm off, I go storytell. So, and since I do have when I do have extra days off or anything, I just, hey, I let people know I'm going to be there. I'm going to be storytelling, and I try to do it. But really during the summer is when I try to take advantage and do these workshops. So if my workshop gets, I always send a proposal, and if it gets accepted, I'm there. And this has been a very good workshop. And I think it's just very interactive, and I tried to make it interactive here, because when I present in person, there's a lot of movement. We really don't sit down a lot in this workshop, because we're showing, we're doing. And when you do this with kids, oh God, they become such independent. They're so independent. They're just independent. And again, storytelling is interactive. It's interactive, and to me, it's such a great way to learn, and such a good way for kids to learn. So
I would also love to hear, or I'll email you your ideas on dyslexia. My daughter was just diagnosed her senior year, and so I would love to keep touch with you.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
you're a great source of wisdom. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
You're a busy lady, I can tell.
No, I'm actually putting in my email address for you guys if you want to copy it. So I'm putting it in right now.
Okay.
You don't do the toilet paper with kids, do you? Because I tell you what, if I went in a class, they bring all the toilet paper from all the bathrooms and then throw it at me. And
no, that would not happen. We recycle, so maybe the kids would use it over, but not that way. Not throw it at anyone.
All right, we have about 4 more minutes.
Okay.
And the next thing that's going to be happening is 5 o'clock is going to be social hour, if you want to join us for that. And then we also have an evening concert going on. Let's see if I can pull it up here. It's going to start at 6 o'clock. It's from 6 to 8, and Claire Murphy is the featured teller, Jeannie Hamill, Tony Simmons, and Sheila Phillips. So that's what's coming up. And if there's no more questions, you can always email Sandra with your questions too. I just have to say that this was a fantastic workshop. I don't work with bilingual children, but I do work with children, and these exercises were things that I could really use. So thank you so much, Sandra. On behalf of everyone here, we want to thank you for your time, for your expertise, and thank you so much.
Awesome.
Brooks, is there anything else we need to do?
No, I think that's good. Thank you so much. I want to add my thanks, Sandra. That was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do storytell too. So I'm hoping one day I'll be just storytelling again. I get the chance to storytell at the festival again at Tejas Storytelling Festival when this COVID is over.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you so much.
That was a question that I had for you, Sandra.
Yes.
What genre of stories do you tell?
Ooh, I have some personal stories, but I do a lot of story twisting with the stories that my grandparents used to tell me. So I do a lot of Mexican folk tales and a lot of folk tales that I've made up myself. So a lot of use a lot of Native American tales that my grandparents told me. So a lot, that's what I like to do. A lot of story twisting with the stories that my grandparents grew up telling.
So are you of both Native American and Hispanic heritage?
Well, my great grandmother was like 100% Tarahumara from Chihuahua, and my parents, on my other side, they're all Tepehuane descendants. So yeah, there's a lot of Native American blood in me.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I totally enjoyed this.